The Theater of Deception, a Machiavellian reflection on power, cover UPS, and the architecture of empire. In the grand arena of power, what matters is not truth, but utility. The most effective rulers, whether they wear crowns, uniforms, or business suits, understand that reality must be sculpted, concealed, and weaponized. Niccolò Machiavelli taught that appearances outweigh essence, that power rests in perception, not honesty. With this cold lens, we examine the selective silence of whistleblowers like John Kiriakou, the entanglement of Donald Trump and Kash Patel in the Epstein-Mossad nexus, and the deeper, darker web that ties the JFK assassination, 9/11, and the war in Gaza to the Rockefeller-engineered vision of a new Middle East. The useful silence of John Kiriakou. Kiriakou, once praised as a truth-teller for exposing CIA torture, now wades in ambiguity. His reluctance to speak clearly about Trump or Kash Patel is not a sign of ignorance, but calculation, or perhaps fear. In the Machiavellian world of intelligence and power, silence is rarely accidental. One does not survive the corridors of espionage by saying everything one knows. But when that silence cloaks the protection of individuals tied to one of the most explosive intelligence operations in modern history, the Epstein operation, it becomes complicity. Epstein was not merely a pervert with a private island. He was a construct, an asset. The honey trap model he operated was designed not for pleasure, but for leverage. His connections, his access, his impunity, all bear the fingerprints of Israeli intelligence, particularly Mossad. And who was his close ally and defender during years of mounting allegations? Donald J. Trump. Trump, a prince in chains. Trump was never the master of the chessboard. He was the piece moved by unseen hands. His rise, once sold as populist defiance, was in fact carefully manicured theater. His ties to Epstein, his financial dependencies, and his pandering to Israeli interests all point to the same conclusion. He is a man owned, not owning. Mossad, unlike the CIA, does not play for optics. It plays for existential advantage. It creates leverage, cultivates weakness, and controls through exposure or threat. Trump, surrounded by figures like Kushner, Adelson, and Patel, became a vessel for Israeli strategic goals. His every move in the Middle East, Jerusalem, the Golan Heights, the Abraham Accords, served not American interests, but Tel Aviv's. Kash Patel, presented as a loyal soldier in Trump's inner circle, was another handler in disguise. His silence on Epstein, like Kiriakou's, is telling. The Epstein files, if fully opened, could bring down not just reputations, but empires. JFK, the sacrifice of a sovereign. The myth of JFK's assassination is kept alive precisely because the truth is more dangerous than fiction. The Warren Commission was theater. The Mafia, the CIA, the Cubans, diversions. The real threat JFK posed was to Israel's secret pursuit of nuclear weapons. Kennedy demanded inspections of Dimona. He threatened the very foundation of Israel's future military dominance. For this, he had to be removed. Mossad's role, veiled behind the smoke of Langley and the bullets of Dallas, remains unspoken because it is untouchable. And the United States, long since infiltrated by dual loyalist networks, covered it up, first under Johnson and permanently thereafter. 9/11 and Gaza, orchestras of empire. The logic of empire requires perpetual war, and perpetual war requires perpetual justification. 9/11 was not merely a terrorist attack, it was the ignition of a strategy. The Rockefeller-designed Greater Middle East Project was already on the drawing board. Iraq, Syria, Libya, Lebanon, Iran. Chess pieces on a board soaked in oil and blood. Who benefited from 9/11? Not the hijacker's homeland, Saudi Arabia, but the architects of Western oil dominance and Israeli regional supremacy. Mossad knew. Some say they enabled. The CIA, again, played the loyal hound. And the result was exactly what Machiavelli would expect. Fear, then war, then profit. Gaza, too, is not merely a battlefield, it is a pretext. The destabilization of Gaza creates the casus belli for deeper control over the eastern Mediterranean, where offshore gas fields worth hundreds of billions lie hidden beneath the waves. From Leviathan to Aphrodite, these resources are the spoils of war dressed in humanitarian camouflage. The suffering of Palestinians, like the terror of 9/11 victims, is a means to an imperial end. Conclusion: the mask of democracy. What unites Epstein, JFK, 9/11, and Gaza is not conspiracy, but continuity. The continuity of power cloaked in lies. The continuity of empires manipulating perception. And the continuity of useful fools and strategic silence. Machiavelli taught that a prince must not be good, but appear good. Today, the illusion of democracy masks a global oligarchy. The real rulers are those who control intelligence, blackmail, and narrative. They are not elected, they are embedded. And so long as even our supposed whistleblowers remain bound by fear or allegiance, the people will never hear the full truth. Because in the game of power, truth is not a virtue, it is a threat.